What's up, my peeps? And I didn't say Facebook peeps because this will go on Facebook, but it's going to probably go on some other stuff too. I tried to do this video earlier today, and I got interrupted by phone calls. I wish phones would just tell you you're getting a phone call instead of knocking your video dead when it starts to ring, but that's the way it happens. So hopefully I can do this, won't get any calls. And I got this on a stand on my kayak, so if it wobbles a little bit when I touch my kayak, sorry, but everybody thinks that all I ever do is wacky rig. Before I wacky rigged, I shaky head fished a lot. And I still shaky head fish. You'll hear me talk about a lot of times, I'll throw a wacky on a number 1 rod, and I'll have a number 2 rod sitting there with a shaky head on it. If they miss the wacky, I go right back in with a shaky, vice versa. Sometimes, Santee, if you watch the video where Chad done on me when I was still with the Wildy team, I had 2, we called it double barrels. I had double barrel wacky rigs that day because they were hitting the wacky rig and they were tearing it up. So I had 2 colors ready to go. But I'm going to talk about shaky head, and I'm going to talk about more than shaky head, craws. A lot of people use craws. A lot of people are scared of craws. They don't want to mess with craws. They say, well, I don't see craws. That's because you don't see craws. They're usually on the bottom. It's not something we see all the time. But if you're in the southeast, you can pretty well bet your water is full of craws. So we're going to do a little crawfish talk, and then we're going to talk about, this may be 5, it may be 10 minutes long. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm going to talk, and I got a YouTube channel that I never have used. I've never posted the first video. So this may be the first one on YouTube if I can figure out how to put it on there, because I'm not the smartest fellow when it comes to this stuff. But it may go on there too. So we'll see how it goes. If it does, I'll hit up on Facebook and Instagram and let y'all know what the channel is, because I don't even know what to tell you to look for other than me. Barry Davis, that's all I know. But I'll look and let you know what it is. Anyhow, let's talk craws. And I'm going to go through the progression of several things here. Somebody I'm not affiliated with, but I use a lot of their stuff, Zoom. I think that's one of the most popular plastic baits that's out there as far as soft plastics. Zoom makes a lot of stuff. This watermelon seed, which is one of my main colors I use, this is the Craw Jr. That's what it looks like. See the ribs on the side, a lot of vibration. It's not a real slow fall lure because the claws are not thick. They do vibrate a good bit, but it's not a slow fall lure. And that makes a difference sometimes. Another Zoom. That's the regular Craw. And I've got one of them on a shaky here, set up already, and I've done been moving things around, got my shaky a little out of line. I like to keep my plastics in line. This one's got a heavier body. The other one was a junior. This is the Craw. Ribs are a little more definition to them. That way there's more vibration comes off. The craws are bigger, and they also have the curl up. Let's see if I can get that on the camera. They got the curl up that sits there and moves, and it's like an edge on the top and the bottom. That puts off a lot of vibration. Because it's a bigger body, it falls a little slower. However, I got that one on a heavier football style head. This is the one I throw if I'm needing to throw long distance or if I'm throwing in heavy current. That's why it's got the heavier head. Get to that in a minute. The other's the Ultra Vibe that Zoom makes. Small body, thinner. It's got more legs on it for more vibration. And if you look at the claws, they're curled. Thus the name Ultra Vibe. This thing puts off a lot of vibration. So that's the 3 Zoom craws that I use. And I don't use them all the time. That's something I use sporadically. Lake Hartwell. I got a tournament Saturday at Hartwell. There'll probably be one of those on there because for some reason, that Craw Jr. is hot at Hartwell. And it works better, believe it or not, on a Carolina rig. So I will probably have it on a Carolina rig trying to use it. That won't be my main bait. I'm not giving away what my main bait is because I got a bunch of people going to be fishing against me out of the club this weekend, and they're not going to hear what I'm fishing, but that'll be one of the things that's on there. Bass Pro Shops. I am on their team. They have all kinds of craws too, and they have a lot that mimic other name brands, but this one is called the Crack Craw. And you've heard me mention Crack Craw before. It's got the claws, but it's got these extra leggy tail things that come down here. It's almost like a crawl, on crack. It does a really good job. I use this a lot on Texas rig also. This is a bait that just, so far, year round, if you can fish soft plastics anywhere, this thing right here works good. I've also got it in a dark blue, blue-black, and I've got it with some red in it. And that's the 4 main colors I use of that. But that is the Crack Craw, Bass Pro Shops. You can get that at Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's. Yum. You may see my jersey sometime. I got Yum on my jersey. The Christy Craw is one of my favorites. And I've got one of those right here. And you can see that the claw on it has got a curl up, similar to what the Z had over there a while ago, but it's more defined. This craw falls slower. Yum plastics tend to fall slower anyway. They're not a real heavy salt content. I fish a river a lot. I throw this up against a bank, on a bank that's cut in, maybe 3-4 foot deep, and this slowly falls down. It looks just like a craw swimming off the edge of the bank down into the water. It gets hit on the drop as soon as it hits the water rapidly a lot. So that's one of the reasons I like it. That's been a mainstay for a while. Matter of fact, I had to go to a store and buy a pack of these because I haven't placed my Yum order yet, and I need to place it, and I'm out of them. So I had to go buy a couple of packs and pay the regular price. But Yum's only $2.99. It's not like it's going to break the bank anyhow. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a cheap lure. It's an inexpensive lure, but that makes some really good stuff. Yum dingers the same way. I don't use dingers as much when I'm wacky rigging. I use a lot of Bass Pro stuff and some Gary Yamamoto stuff, but that's because the sink rate is faster. Yum, if I need it to slow down, I go to Yum plastics because they're slow on the fall a lot of times. So that's the Christy Craw. ALX rods. ALX rods is part of Hydro Fishing, and Alex and Jennifer have got Victory Tackle also under Hydro Fishing now. And this craw, I'm going to show you something. I got one already here on Shaky Head. You can notice the body is a little thicker than some of them. This is fairly solid. This is a more spongy area. It's got a place there where my shaky heads that I use, and I use True South shaky heads. I've always had good luck out of them. They work really great for me. But anyhow, made in North Carolina. The back, there's a hole. It holds air, which makes this buoyant, and it makes it fall really slow. This head's heavier than what I use. Let me find the one I just had a minute ago. On the river, that's the head I use most of the time. I don't use the football style as much. I use that flat tip, round head. It just works good on the river. It falls real slow. That's why I like that. Works good on the lake too, especially if you're throwing in under docks and you want it to fall slow. But these tentacles, they got the edges on them, not as defined as some, but they're wide on the claws. Thus, when this comes through the water, it is unreal motion. Saluda Lake. I didn't do well at Saluda Lake. It was muddy. Water temp had dropped 10 degrees, and the water had been drawn down a foot overnight from the rain. So with all that being done, it was a tough day. Some guys found them on crankbaits, and I didn't throw a crankbait all day long. I threw stuff like this. And the two that I caught was on the retrieve after I had worked this and retrieving it back to the boat, and they hit this. Should have told me something, but sometimes you get in your head you're going to do something because it worked 2 days before, and that's what you do. So that thing right there, Victory Tackle Works, is awesome. I've got a bunch of them over there that's got stuff missing off of them where they've been hit the last few days. All right, so that's that. Now, let's talk shaky heads a little bit. How many of you's got a box full of terminal tackle? This is what goes under my seat. That's my little box. There's my big box. That's slam full of terminal tackle. I mean, it's got, you name it, it's in there. I mean, from nail weights on. So I got too much terminal tackle. I carry 20 pounds of terminal tackle, it seems like. Anyway, on shaky heads, What I use the most, the one I showed you a minute ago. Let's get that up there to that camera. You see the flat spot on it. And that's a true south. I used to use spot removers. I lost a lot of fish, missed a lot of hookups on spot removers. There's another one, same thing. And then if I'm not using that, I go with true south football headed. And some people say this is less likely to hang up. On the river, it don't much matter because you're fishing around snags. The reason I carry a lot of terminal tackle, I lose a lot of terminal tackle. I lose a lot of these. I lose a lot of wacky rig hooks, and my wacky rig hooks for 3 of them are $7.50 because I use a Gamakatsu Wicked Wacky. They're not cheap. If you buy any of them, you'll understand why. And I lose them quite often just because of the snags in the river. So sometimes that gets to be a pain in the butt, but if you're gonna catch decent fish, you gotta spend some money on some gear. So that's why I use those shaky heads. They're sharp, they hook up good. I get a really good top of the mouth hookup ratio. Every once in a while it'll be a side or a bottom, but it's usually top of the mouth. All right, we're running longer than what I was thinking. I'm already 11 minutes on this thing. I wanna go over rod and reel. And everybody knows that I fish with lures, except for my spinning reels. And my spinning reels are not lures. However, Lose does have a new one out, and I'm getting ready to place a Lose order here shortly. And when I do, I'm gonna try them. But this is a Stratic CI4 Shimano. Not a cheap reel. It does not fish like a cheap reel. It fishes like money. It costs you money, it fishes like money. That is the best spinning reel that I have ever used for throwing my wacky rig or shaky head on. Now the rod, I use 2 different rods, and I'm gonna show you the other rod in just a minute, and it's got a Fluger reel on it because I've only got 2 of these Stratics, and I do carry 3 spinning setups a lot of times, and I've got a Fluger on it, so that's why I'm gonna go ahead and order a couple of Lures. I'll have that going on too. Let me flip this around. This is my wacky rig rod. That's an ALX Zolo Maestro. That's a medium light. That's right, medium light. That baby is 7 foot long. I'm trying to read the weights on it, 1/8 to 5/8 ounce. You talk about skipping a wacky rig under a dock. I've skipped it 25, 30 feet under there before. Just skip like a rock when you get a perfect skip. This rod is limber enough to do what you need to do, but when you hook set, it's got backbone. The only thing with a shaky head is you don't have to do a full Bill Dance hook set, but you got to do a decent hook set. You can't just lift up on it like you do with a wacky hook, because the wacky hook usually a hook itself. So you got to give it a little bit of a jerk with your arm, and you good to go. And party's on, because it's got backbone. This exact rod is the one at Pickwick last year at the regional championship that I landed that 32-inch striper on a wacky rig when I throwed it over in the middle of a bunch of stuff popping. 32-inch striper on that rod right there, and that reel, the exact setup. 30-pound test braid, and I use 12-pound fluorocarbon. I use Red Label Seaguar, and I usually put about a 10-foot to 15-foot leader on it, according to how much I think I'm gonna have to retie stuff and do things. And when it gets down to about 6 foot a leader, I change it out and put more leader on. So that's the rod setup and the reel setup on that. The other one is also ALX, because y'all know that's all I use. You see a few of them right here in the background in the rod rack. That's the ICOS Soul 7, 7 foot, medium. The other one's a medium light, medium. Now you will get an easier hook set with this one. I can pretty well just lift up on this. I don't have to do a Bill Dance hook set like Bill used to do when he was in his 40s. But same setup except for the Fluger. Same size line, same deal with all the leader stuff, and everything pretty well works the same. I have that zoom on here that I told you I use on a heavier head with a heavier body. That's on this one, so I get a little more penetration coming through on that hook. So that's the deal with that. If you got any questions, hit me up. I'll answer as quick as I can. I don't mind people asking questions. Some days I'm out there posting pictures every once in a while of a good fish, and my phone lights up with people going ding ding in Facebook Messenger or text or whatever. And if I'm not fishing a competition deal, I don't mind answering anything. I take time to do it when I'm on the water quite often. And I'm usually in a monthly, but I've got, several days to fish a monthly, so I'll take the time to answer a question. I'm not going to get an hour-long conversation with you, but I'll answer your questions. When I'm around the house goofing off, text me, message me. Hey, you busy? Can we talk? We'll talk about it. We'll talk craws. We'll talk wacky rig. We'll talk Texas rig. We'll talk Carolina rig. We'll talk hard plastics. I'm not the best one to talk to. I've got them. I pull them every now and then, but it's not something I do. We can talk a little bit of Z-Man stuff. I pull a little bit of Z-Man, like jackhammers and things like that, as far as moving baits. One more thing before we go. Yum. Speaking of Z-Man, everything's Ned rig now, and Z-Man's what everybody goes to. Yum has come out with their series of Ned rig size baits, and this is itty bitty. I ain't even opened this package yet, but that thing's itty bitty. And that's like the baby dinger. You see I went to that green. That's kind of a different green, but I think it's going to work out good. That's a Craw. That's more of a Ned rig style type deal. I'm not going to crisscross names from company to company, but it's called a Ned dinger is what it's called. Anyway, Yum has come out with these. Again, $2.99 a pack. You're not going to buy any cheaper plastics that hold up good. They do hold up well. So I have to throw that out there for them every now and then. But they've come out with that, and it's something that hit the market just recently with them, and it's working really good. I don't Ned rig that much. A lot of guys say you got to wear a certain kind of underwear if you're going to Ned rig. No offense to anyone, but I just don't Ned rig that much. If things get tough, I do it. I have caught some big fish off Ned rig, but it's to me, it's just a smaller shaky head, so I just try to use a shaky head and downsize my lure on it, but it works. Sometimes it don't. Kentucky Lake one year, I was in a panic, wasn't getting nowhere near my limit. I went to throwing a Ned rig. I limited out in about an hour, but they were all 13-inch fish. So, it works. If you need something in a rush, it works. All right, I'm going to get off here and let y'all go. I went 17 minutes already, and by the time I shut my mouth, we're going to be further. You need to know anything about ALX rods, Bass Pro Cabela's, Yum, Victory Tackle. I'm not a Zoom guy. I use Zoom. I'll talk to you about what I do. Bending Branches Paddle. I'm not on their team either, but you see there's 3 Bending Branches right there. There's a couple other paddles up there too. Bending Branches is what's always on the side of my boat. Bonafide. If you want to talk Bonafide, you want to talk Yak Attack, talk to me. Come on. We'll talk. See y'all later. 18 minutes. I'm out of here. Bye, y'all. Barry Davis, StarTech, South Carolina. Y'all see me.